And we're live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kind of Funny Gamescast. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the new face of video games, Blessing, Adeoye Jr.
Yo, what's up, Greg?
Not much. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Okay, good. Joining us as always, or at least sometimes always. It's just been rare lately, but we have him here all the time. The former Imran Khan.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Oh, hello. How are you?
Yeah. Being in theme for this episode of Gamescast.
Exactly. And then making the rare, he's actually on the show, hosting the show, part of the show, The Glue, Kevin Coelho.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Very excited to talk about this game. Yeah, that's it. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night because of this game.
What time did you go to bed last night playing this game?
5:30. Nobody tell Paula. She doesn't know.
It's 5:30 in the morning. That's
Yeah,
not. Yeah, what
in the
time did you get up?
morning.
What time did Paula get you up and ask you if you're like all ready?
Oh, 8 a.m. I believe the cat flu went off. Yeah, so I'm tired. It's been a long
I
one.
understand that.
Yeah,
Of course, ladies and
Ubisoft
gentlemen,
wasted all of our time, but everyone's acting like it was cool.
that's a different story. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ghost of Tsushima review embargo is up. This episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast is your spoiler-free Ghost of Tsushima review. Again, spoiler-free. That's what's happening. We'll get into it here in 1 second. But if you do want to bounce out and just hear nothing about it, that's fine. Kevin, you gotta stop drinking ice thing if you're gonna be on mic. Sounds like you got a fucking glass full of marbles over there. And I can tell you, everyone's mad at that. Please dump it out. Ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every week, we come together to talk about all the things we love in video games. If you love that, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can get the show early. You can get it ad-free. You can watch it usually live as we record it. Of course, not this week because of review embargoes. You can get it with the exclusive post show we do, and so much more on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. No matter how you get the show, thank you for your support. Consider going to Patreon. If you can't, though, it's no big deal. You can get the show for free. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe each and every week. You will get ads. You will not get that post show. You won't be able to write in. It's a sad state of affairs. So if you have the means, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Worth talking to you for housekeeping. This is just the start of our Ghost of Tsushima coverage. Of course, today, this is Tuesday for you probably, that this review is popped 7 a.m. You're watching, you're listening, you're seeing around the internet. Everyone's reviews go live. This afternoon, Tuesday, we are recording PS I Love You XOXO on a special day and time. The idea there is that it will be Blessing and I answering your Ghost of Tsushima questions. So write in with your spoiler-free questions. We will do our best to answer those. You can get that episode of PS I Love You XOXO Wednesday morning, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, podcast services around the globe. And then, if that wasn't enough, we are trying this week to get our spoiler cast recorded, both with all of us talking about the story. I should say this week. We're getting it recorded as soon as we can. That's a better way to put it. With all of us and Sucker Punch actually being here. That is still TBD on the date and who will be through and all that jazz. But a spoiler cast is coming. So patreon.com/kindoffunnygames with your questions about that, concerns about that. Once you've played it, once you've been a part of it, that kind of thing. Or if you have spoiler questions ahead of time, you'd want to know. Thank you to our Patreon producers, James Hastings, Sancho West Gaming, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, Delaney Twinning, Jeffrey P. Long, Jesus Barrio, aka Bentfork PR, Skin Tight Salmon, Game Jumper X, and Mohammed, aka Momo. Today we're brought to you by our sponsors, Honey, Quip, and Sun Soil. But I'll tell you about that later. For now, let us finally review Ghost of Tsushima, the latest from Sucker Punch. Blessing. Adeoye.
Greg, real quick. Do we have to say FTC be cool?
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, Kevin, we probably do.
I have one right now that's going, but it says Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, well, remember, everybody,
it's close enough.
Because of the influencer bucket PlayStation puts us in, we have to tell you that this game was provided by PlayStation. We didn't steal it off of a PlayStation truck or break into Sucker Punch and took it. They sent it to us for review.
But we would have if we had the means.
We want, though. Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Yes.
What do you think of Ghost of Tsushima?
I think this game is awesome. I really liked playing this game. I think as a follow-up to Infamous, I think this game succeeds so well. I like this better than Infamous. I like this. I think the main issue this game is going to have coming out at the gate is that it's coming out after Last of Us Part 2, which I think is going to be a huge struggle for it, because upon my first hours playing this game, I did not like it. I thought the game was going to be bad, and that came from just things like presentation and
facial
facial animations and the way the game controls and all these different things. And coming fresh off The Last of Us Part 2 really tainted that opening experience for me. But the more and more I played the game and the further and further I got into it, I absolutely started to adore it and actually fall in love with it. Like, I think overall, it is such a good game. It is an excellent, I think, first installment into what will probably be a series.
Oh, you hope so, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you hit the nail on the head. The way I've been describing it when I talk to you guys, when I talk to Jen, when I talk to myself, because I can't talk to anybody about this game. The word I use is intoxicating. I started Ghost of Tsushima, was in a very similar place to you. Of it is such a gear shift from The Last of Us Part 2, because what I mean when I say that is not to take a shot at Sucker Punch or anything else. These Last of Us and Ghost are out to accomplish two very different things. Whereas for everything you've heard of the discussion and the art of The Last of Us and the narrative and blah, 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 and that's all true, right? Ghost of Tsushima is a capital V, capital G video game. Like, it is like, hit R2 to do this. Here are all these points. Do this. Like, you're in a game. We're making it very clear. And there's all this shit to unlock and run around and go do. And to the point, it's a giant open world RPG, right? So I was the same thing. If I started it up and like, I'm in there, I'm like, whoa, this presentation of this conversation is different. And whoa, this isn't how oh man, but the more I played, the more I couldn't stop playing, to the point that, like, I think we all have a very similar story, right? Kevin's 5:30, but I was up till 12:30 last night because I'm so close to the platinum on this, just chipping away. I wanted to play more. I want to binge this game, but at the same time have it go on forever. Imran, what do you think?
So it's interesting you guys say that, because when I first started playing this game, I did not play The Last of Us 2, just for various reasons. I was out of town, like, I didn't get the game until we actually got the code for this. Sure. So I started playing this for review, and I'm not going to say blown away, because I feel like this game has kind of slow start. But as it kept going, I started realizing, okay, so they clearly were influenced by Assassin's Creed 2 here. They're clearly influenced by The Witcher 3 here. Like, this is the part where they were like, oh, Breath of the Wild and Horizon are out. We need to step our game up a little bit for this stuff. And then, like, I started realizing all this stuff is like, Ghost of Tsushima is a combination of a lot of my favorite games. Yeah. And I think it pulls off that combination extremely well. And I think as momentum starts rolling with that game, like, it's ebbs and flows a little bit, but it just keeps getting better and better in a lot of ways. And I ended up actually, like, this is, I think, in all my years of reviewing and covering games, this is the first time I've gotten all the achievements / trophies / whatever of a game before it has come out. That is, so, like, I platinumed this game just like, because I like, just enjoy playing it so much. It is a fun game to just, like, have on and do a thing, and those things can roll and roll and roll until you're snowballing to 5:30 a.m. playing the game.
Sure, I think that's, again, the power of it. They give you, the island of Tsushima, right? And it is something that I wanted to explore in that awesome open world gameplay sense, always of, cool, I'm going over there to do that mission. And then you'd head off that way, and it's like, well, these 2 question marks are along the way. You'd hit those up. Well, it got me into this fight. Well, that person just told me an interesting story that I saved from the Mongols. Now I'm going to go, and, like, sure as shit, 3 hours later, you haven't done the first quest you were trying to do for that day.
Yeah.
Kevin, what are your thoughts? Excuse me, Blessing? Excuse me,
I apologize.
I understand you talk. Tim Gettys in here, wheeling and dealing, letting anybody talk when they want. I will keep this show on task, or I will time you out. Kevin Coelho, what did you think of Ghost?
So I think maybe earlier this week, maybe Thursday, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to finish this game by the time we do this. And you're like, oh yeah, don't rush through it. And it's like, yeah, I'm trying to just do everything because I enjoy everything about it so much. It's funny. I was talking to Blessing when we had first started. Maybe it was like the 3rd day that we had it, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I like the way it combat." Yeah, and I was like, "Dude, just wait until you open up the other stances, because moving around those pieces and, like, looking at the person that's coming to you and being like, oh, he's got a spear, switch to this stance, It feels so dynamic. It's so well made, and I love this game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kevin stumbles on something interesting there. When they showed the presentation, their state of play for Ghost of Tsushima, and they showed the multiple stances, right? So you have different stances you're supposed to use for different enemies, right? So you see a guy with a shield, switch to the shield stance, sword stance, spear. You get the idea. Brute. I remember seeing that and kind of going, oh, I kind of hate that kind of stuff in games where I just want to have a cool stance and a cool thing and go do it, right? And I always go back to Odyssey, a game you and I both really adore, Kevin. And for that, I got Cassandra her daggers eventually. I got the poison damage up on that. That's what I do. I fight everybody. I roll to their back. I stab them a bunch, and I win. And I keep on moving. And combat in my 130 hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey hasn't been tough outside of boss battles, right? In probably 90 hours. And for Ghost, when we got going with this and you got into it and it became a sense of timing and understanding windows, and if you wait the last second to block, you open them up for a counterattack and leveling those up and using the stances. And then I was shocked by how that dynamic of gameplay kept me engaged all the way through and has kept it to even today as I'm still chipping away in the platinum, just a few trophies away. By the time you see this, I should have a platinum, knock on wood, unless there's any glitches. I am still challenged every game, every fight. I still have to be on my toes. I still have to think it through. And granted, some people die in one hit versus some people dying in, later on a million other hits, depending on what area you're in. I found it to be so good and so engaging and so dynamic. I just can't get over it. Imran, did you have that too?
I mean, yeah. So I really liked at first that this game has, I don't want to say like realistic samurai combat because like that's not a thing, but like at first I was just like, okay, it's cool that swords are clean together, that like this game is very parry heavy, but like the windows are big enough that if you're not parrying perfectly, it's still fine.
Yeah.
But like the difficulty pacing of this game is all over the place in some way. And keep in mind, when I say all this, like keep in mind, I am somebody who liked this game enough to platinum it, but I'm also a believer that if you platinum a game, you see all the flaws in it as well.
Sure.
So the difficulty pacing is, it starts off with like, okay, I'm getting this. Then it gets started a little easier, then way easy. Then it just gets like fucking insane in terms of difficulty. And that's where I really started really liking the combat of, okay, I can't just rest on my laurels anymore. I can't just walk up to a place and stand off and be like, hey, what's up, bitch? Fight me. It's always, I have to start actually like combining the ghost stuff with the samurai stuff and actually really work hard to win a combat scenario. And that's where I think the game really shines, of pushing you to that edge and making you fight back.
Yeah. I think, similar to Kevin, right? And I think all of us, like, the way I started playing it was very much the way I would want to play it if I was playing it at release. And it was that I'm not moving, it's 3 acts and they're pretty clear where their divides are and stuff. And I was like, I'm not leaving act 1, the first part of this island, till I've done everything, till I've cleared every bandit camp, till I've gotten every question mark, till I've done everything. And I did that. But to your point, Imran, by the end of it, I was just destroying people. And that's, a third of the game. And I was like, oh man, like, is this about to go the Assassin's Creed Odyssey route where I'm not going to be challenged again? And immediately in area 2, you start fighting Straw Hat people and they were owning me. They were just working me because it wasn't the same anymore. Like, fuck.
I feel like with one of these things the game does in that moment when you go from the first act to the second act and suddenly the map gets bigger, it like fucks up all the farmsteads. So now you have to go back to that first island, and even if the first part of the island, even if you've maxed yourself out, which I'd done everything, and then I had left, then I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back. Now they changed the dynamics where it's like, oh, suddenly you have to kill these people, but you have to be careful about it because they have a hostage, and they'll kill the hostage. That was such a cool thing for them to add, and like when I was like, I'm totally done with this first chunk of the island, I'm not gonna go there. I have to go back, and it's a challenge, and it's like now it's teaching me to play in a different way where it's like I really have to sneak around here. I can't mess around because like these people will get killed. Yeah. So cool.
Blessing, I know I cut you off earlier, and I'm sorry about that. It's just I have a problem with it.
I'll find it in my heart to forgive you someday.
Okay. Where do you chime in on all this?
No, I think what you guys are saying is spot on. I think for me, combat was a thing that toward the beginning of the game I did not like, especially. This game doesn't have a lock-on, and I still don't understand why it doesn't have a lock-on. I think it's honestly an egregious oversight to not have a lock-on in this game, because it seems to me like it wants to have some sort of a halfway point between almost being like Batman / Shadow of Mordor combat, but also kind of being like Jedi Fallen Order or like Bloodborne combat in terms of, you're being methodical in terms of when you parry, when you dodge, and all this different stuff. But at the same time, you are fighting groups of enemies that are kind of attacking you at the same time, and so you want to have that freedom. I think the way they make it work with the different stances and all of the mechanics that they throw into combat, so like the different weapons, the different quick fire stuff, and then the arrows and all the different stuff they give you in your arsenal, I think makes combat really fun for the most part, but at the same time kind of dampened it a little bit as far as it not going all the way into one side or the other. Like I wish they really actually did go the Bloodborne route and made it more of a, hey, like this game is really difficult, because that's one thing they said leading up to the game was that this game was hard. This game I don't think is that hard. I think for the most part, like I was able to get by until I got to the really hard sections of the game, guys, huh? but like even the tough battles weren't that hard.
Battle,
like
I feel like some of the Ronin battles, the duels, there was one, I think, duel of like falling leaves or something like that I was like, oh, I had to do it like 3 times, or I was like, oh, this is a tougher one.
But like that's my thing though, is like there were some fights I had to do 3 or 4 times, but I don't know. I kind of would have liked them to up the ante in that bit and made it more like a, hey, no, this is hardcore. Like you are going to have some samurai fights where you're replaying 6 or 7 times before you're able to figure it out.
This game had different modes, right?
Like there were difficulty options.
Yeah.
There's different difficulties.
Did anyone play at like whatever higher than normal is?
I bumped it up post game, I think, and it was not like, it didn't seem that much more difficult, but honestly, like by that point I was already really good at the game, so it was difficult to tell. But like honestly, the foundation of this game is not dissimilar from Sekiro, and like in terms of parries and blocking and like that sort of thing. So that honestly, if you've played Sekiro and you're decent at that game, you're probably going to wipe through this game pretty easily.
Yeah, I think so too. Like for the little bit of Sekiro that I played, I think that's kind of the connection I was making in my mind as I started playing it, to where I was like, all right, this seems like a more freeform kind of Sekiro kind of thing, where you are parrying, you are dodging, but there's way more of an open window for you to get that stuff off successfully, which is cool because it makes this feel like more of an, I guess, open world action game as opposed to like this hardcore, I guess, linear action game. That said, the thing that I like about this game the most is kind of what you guys alluded to earlier too, which is the open world stuff, and how I think it was Imran that was actually saying this, how it's a combination of so many good open world elements that you see from games like Breath of the Wild and Assassin's Creed and others. I think that stuff was done fantastically. I think the style of this game is where this game shines so well. Like the checkpoint system or the waypoint system where it is guided by wind. I think it's such a cool visual touch. Having birds fly, being able to follow birds or follow foxes in order to find new discoverable stuff, I think is such a cool touch. Stuff like that is, I think, where this game really shines.
And that was something that I think I was amazed by the end of it, right? Because again, this is it's interesting. I'm going to be interested to see when review embargo goes up and we get to read reviews and watch them more like we're giving you the quote unquote objective review of a game, right? If that comes up, the Last of Us comparison, or if that is, I think it'll be more regulated to this kind of discussion we're all having, right? Of like what's happening in games in that moment on a podcast. But I found it so crazy that to start the game and be like, oof, like this definitely isn't The Last of Us, right? The animation doesn't move this. His sword's clipping through the back of his cape or whatever, like, you know what I mean, kind of stuff. To get to the end and feel like this game is beautiful, and it's not. It's not beautiful in the way that I think I'm going to sit there and be like, oh my God, Lady Masako's face in this cutscene, yada, yada, yada. It's going to be the fact that this game has style throughout. Like, it's clear that there was a style board put up and they're like, this is what we're going to nail. And that doesn't mean it's going to be photorealistic cloth fabric moving in the like, and there is that for like his cape and stuff like that. But like the fox never looks great, right? You know, he's running the fox always kind of looks like it's like not floating, but it's never on the texture it's on. But like, that fucking world and riding through those fields and smoke and the different, for the different acts, the different environments, biomes you're in for those things. Like to finish that game up, I think Shu tweeted something about it's like the most beautifulest game he's played or whatever. It was like, I got to where I am right now and I still sit there and marvel at it and photo mode it and do all the shit. Cause it's like, this is the fucking style you went for.
I took so many photos to that game. Like honestly, I probably have like 20, 25.
Yeah, I'm gonna put them up when the embargoes are all done. But it's crazy that the game does that and gets its hooks in you that way. I'm sorry, bless
This
you.
is the most I've used photo mode in a game. Like it is absolutely stunning, and not even in the way to what you're saying, not in the way that it's graphically insane by any means, but yeah, it does seem like they had a really good direction in terms of what they wanted the style of this game to be, and they really stuck to it.
I
And
feel
nailed
like
it.
you guys are discounting the technical like the HDR in that game is honestly really amazing, like a very
Gorgeous.
technically proficient
Yeah.
HDR.
I mean, I'm playing on my base PS4 on a 1080p TV, and so I'm not really
like,
experiencing it full.
Bless, you're missing out. It looks beautiful, and
Like there's parts of the open world that I think look better than Horizons, for sure.
I agree with that.
I feel like the first moment, like when you start the game, I think you do a little piece, and then at some point you ride through a field and like music plays. It's
The
really
title
cool.
card section.
Yeah, and it's like that moment was like, oh my god, this looks gorgeous. This is so cool. Like it gave me. That's when I switched over to that black and white mode and let that play for a minute. And I was like, whoa,
Kurosawa
this is cool.
mode.
Yeah, Kurosawa mode. I switched back though. I need my colors,
I mean, that's one thing I feel like the game peaked a little early in terms of environmental biomes. Because like the first area I think looks amazing. It has all these colors popping all the time. A lot of different places and like after that it's like swamplands and then snow.
A lot of burn stuff in Act 2. Yeah.
That looks great. Like it probably makes sense for what actually Tsushima is, but it's not like as interesting to look at.
I found myself constantly using my little I don't know what flute that he has to like make it sunny, so that like I could enjoy the environments more, just constantly, because like it'd be randomly cloudy, overcast, rainy, and I'd just be like, and it would just clear it up, and like I like to go on peaks and kind of look around and be like, all right, there is like a the plume of smoke that comes from a hot spring,
Yeah.
and like that's one of the things I wanted to do when I initially like would survey areas and stuff, is like find the little hot springs, go and max out my life.
Sure.
In that vein, I want to say the cinematography of this game, which is not a thing you talk about with games all that often, is great. Like there's these like they've clearly watched a lot of Japanese cinema and a lot of samurai stuff like Lone Wolf and Cub, Satoichi, and stuff like that. They've structured the game around that to make it feel like a samurai TV show, where I don't know how many samurai TV shows you guys have watched, but it's a lot of samurai and goes into an area and the village has a problem and they solve that problem. And that's basically every side quest of this game.
Yeah,
totally.
And they all start with this, someone tells you their problem, like bandits have killed my family. And then it'll like do a focus on a broken pot or something in the corner. And then it'll flash the title of like bandits have killed my family. And then you actually like go do the thing. And then it ends with that same title. And that's like dead on for what they're trying to emulate.
Totally.
And
yeah.
It's clear they had somebody with a cinematography eye for this game, because it works a shockingly well way.
It's crazy how many times I've seen the dual animation start where the one person's standing there, one person's standing there, and
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. But it is also so cool, and like there is that moment before you flick yours where it's like, all right, let's do this,
Dude. Yeah, so obviously the combat is, third person action. You're running around doing the stuff, fighting stuff. As we've alluded to, you have your sword, you have assassinations you can do, which is more of being the ghost versus being a samurai, which I do want to touch on here a little bit. You have abilities, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, then you get into these, we mentioned earlier, you probably saw them in the state of play, the dual things, where it is a one-on-one, the camera's different, and it's what Kevin's saying is it gets set up, and every fucking time they cut to Jin, and he just does that little knock with his fucking thumb. I'm like, here we fucking go. It's like got this like great sound to it, and then you're into this one-on-one boss fight, in quotes, with their giant health bar and their giant block bar, and you go through and talk to them and fight, and it's so fucking cool. It never gets old. I loved that.
And they have like ridiculously good music. Like there's one mission where like you're being kind of harassed by someone who's warning you about taking a weapon because like it's cursed, and then it ends in this like red flower field, and the guy's like dressed like a Tengu, and you're not sure what exactly he is, and honestly they don't even answer it. But like you duel with him, and they play this like old classic Japanese samurai horns throughout like the fight. It's like, oh, this is perfect. Like I said before, they clearly spent thousands of hours watching old TV shows and movies to nail this particular feel.
100%. So one of the things that we haven't talked on that I want to bring up is the story itself, right? We're spending so much time in this game, and that's a great question too, I guess. So for Imran, myself, and Blessing have all rolled credits on it. Imran's platinumed it. Blessing, are you trying to platinum it? You moved on to other stuff?
I'm still playing it. I kind of want to platinum it, but I don't know if I'm going to make it that far. Like I'm starting to get to the point where I'm kind of getting disinterested in how repetitive it can get with just doing side quests, because a lot of it is go over.
It's
here
all the same setup,
people.
right? Yeah, exactly. I'm right there on it. Kevin just started Act 3, excuse me, but has played so much that you're already the Ghost of Tsushima, which is like their leveling thing. You get different titles as you go, with obviously Ghost of Tsushima being the last one. Kevin has that as he enters the final third of the game. So yeah, he's been busy too. Hours wise, I can't even think about how many hours I've put into this. Imran, what's your platinum guess on it, right? I want to say
by my count, I want to say like 48, maybe 50 hours.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, is I feel like I've been playing it whenever I have the time since we finished the Iron Man VR review. And so I've been all in it. And what I'm surprised about is how much Jin's story has resonated with me. So like in the beginning, jumping in, it was that thing of I started it, then I switched it. You started in English. I switched it over to Japanese voice track. I switched it back to English. I put it into Kurosawa, that filter or whatever. I was like, I don't know. And eventually ended up back in just default English and color. And playing through, it's this interesting thing of, Jin being his uncle is in charge of the island. He's this nephew that lives with him, and for all intents and purposes is his son. And his journey, this giant samurai battle, Mongols are invading, right? And then all the stuff happens that we won't get into. And then you're there, and you have to try to get the Mongols out of your island or off your island and stuff. And you go through that. And I was really shocked, number one, by how much I like Jin, how much the story worked with me, and how the beats they seeded in there reflected my own. Because one of the things of starting it, right, and getting into the game, Jin, pretty much from the moment you take control of him, is taught, like, listen, like, the rules have changed. Like, if you want to survive in this new world with these guys invading, you have to do something like you have to do basically ghost tactics, assassination tactics, strike from the shadows. And he's a man who was raised by his uncle, right, to believe in honor, and like honor is what it's all about with the samurai. We should confront them head on and fight. And the person who is like teaching you all this is like, nah, that's really not the way it's going to work. So Jin has this conflict inside him of like, am I a samurai or am I an assassin? Is this the right thing? And I, as a player, meeting him for the first time, really role played that without trying. Of like, well, I'm gonna, you can walk into areas and hit up on the D-pad for a standoff, which is where you challenge people. You've seen it probably in the state of play. They come at you, you wait for the right moment, you hit them, and then as you level it up, you can, go after more people. But you start by eliminating a few if you're good. I did that for so long, and then when I was pushed back, or when I did have to, I'd think about assassinating or using a ghost weapon like a bomb or a blow dart or something like that. It was this thing of like, this doesn't feel right. And I feel like so many games put those questions on the table but never address them again, like giving you this like, oh, well, you could do anything, and then you just do whatever you want and nobody cares. In the game, it kept coming up. And by the time that there was like an actual decision, or there was like a story moment, right, where like, spoilers for the title of the game, he's like, I'm the Ghost of Tsushima, right? Like, this is what my people need. And as soon as that happened, I was like, gloves are off. And I didn't feel bad using assassinations anymore. And it was like, oh, this is fucking dope. And it matched my own journey in it, which I thought was crazy.
I mean, like, mechanically, they actually reinforce that through the story. Because, like, beginning early on, you have more samurai tools available to you because Jin is a trained samurai. Of course, he knows how to be a samurai better. But also, what you're doing most of the early game is fighting captains and bosses, and by doing that, you end up powering up stances. So those are more samurai things. So it makes sense. Like, oh, Jin is actually like, he's for honor as a main concept. And like, as the story starts taking the turn that you become more of the ghost, that's when the ghost stuff starts becoming more powerful, and you are, by virtue of the fact that you did all the samurai stuff before, putting more points into ghost things as the game starts closing out. So it's a very interesting way in which they did that. They didn't leave it to you. They left it to you to decide, but they knew what you would decide because you wanted to be more powerful early on.
Sure. Blessing, what did you think of the story?
I like the story for the most part. I will say that I didn't necessarily love Jin as a character. Like, a lot of the time I actually found him kind of boring and vanilla. Like, I feel like there's so many other characters that just had way more personality than him. Like especially like all the characters that you meet and become close with in the game. Because there are like quest lines in the game that are almost analogous to like social links in Persona, which I thought were really cool. But like with all those relationships, I found all those characters to be more interesting than Jin. Like Jin's whole thing is his struggle with being a samurai, but also having to protect the island of Tsushima and like regain it and do all this stuff. And through that, he basically become like you see him slowly almost turn into Batman, which is cool. Like,
dude, 100%. I knew we'd eventually get there. That I think that's the reason the story resonates so much with me, is that this is such a Batman story of like, this is what I need to be for my people, and like this, that, and the other, and the pain and the struggle and his friends. Go.
Yes, no, but like that's the exact thing about the story about the main story that I thought was super cool. Jin, though, I feel like I don't know what it was, but like he didn't necessarily speak to me as a character as much as a lot of the other characters, like Lady Masako and like so many others that you meet along the way.
Awesome. Yeah.
She's amazing.
There's
Sensei Ishikawa I liked a lot too. Who's the guy from Lost.
Wait, is he really?
Yeah. He's from the Dharma Initiative scientist from Lost. I guess.
That's awesome.
And I remember
really
I had seen that and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then when Lucy started it, she came out like after a few hours like, the guy from Lost is in this game.
They did a good job of casting Asian actors for Asian roles, and that was the thing I was checking on as like I started seeing new characters. Like, who did they have for this? And like, oh right, they actually got a Chinese actor for the Mongols, like, or for the Khan. And by the way, it's very weird seeing like Kill the Khan frequently in this game, but like, they did a good job of this one. It was a place they could very easily have messed up. And there was a point actually early on, I was convinced Jin was Phil Lamar, but he wasn't. So that was good. But yeah, it was. It's one thing I want to throw there to their credit is like they did not shy away from actually finding Asian actors for these roles.
Yeah, they commit, and it's awesome and it's great. And I think that's the thing, is to your point of the social links in Jin. Like I think again, so much of the making a protagonist in a game where you're with them all the time and you're not getting it, I think, through the lens of a Uncharted, a Last of Us, that kind of story, Spider-Man even, right, is giving you that area where your own thoughts are their thoughts, and how does that shake out? And I think for me personally, that worked really well in the hot springs when you'd sit down, like, what do you want to reflect on? And you'd reflect on it. And then like there's these haikus you write yourself, right? You go to the haiku spots, you look around, and these power you up, of course, but you also look around and you have 3 options for every one of the 3 lines of dialogue, or, for the haiku. So you build that your way too. And I was always really feel like I was making them out of what was actually happening in Jin's life and picking the things in the hot springs that were questions I already had and going that way. All that said, his supporting cast is so strong in the way that, like a Persona game, we've talked about Lady Masako, right, who's out to avenge her family who was killed by Mongols. I know that actress, but I haven't Googled to see who she is, but she's fantastic. I know of her. I don't know her. You know what I mean? I've seen her and stuff. Yeah. She's great. Ishikawa is great. I even thought the warrior monk was awesome, and his quest line I thought had such a fucking powerful payoff to it. But like even Kenji, who's like this like slimy, tricking the Mongols out of their money, always getting into shenanigans that almost get him and his friends killed. Like on paper, that's usually the kind of character I'm like, oh, this guy fucking sucks. And this one I was like, yeah, Kenji, what do you need? Let's save the day for you. Let's go. Like they fucking crush it in a way that I just wasn't expecting on that level.
Yeah, I think for me, like the main issue I had with Jin, or not even issue, like the distance I have there is that I think later on the story goes to such great places in terms of Jin's relationship with the people around him and how that grows and how his personal decisions become greater and greater in a way that they reflect who he's going to be later on in the story and who he eventually becomes. Yeah. I think I would have liked for his personality to kind of shine more in terms of nailing down those decisions, because like I understood the place he was coming from throughout the game. Like I would have made the same choices that he was given the situations that he was in. Yeah. But at no point was I like, yeah, Jin, you're the guy to make these choices. Like I'm here with you. Like I understand where you're at for who you are. Like at no point did I feel like I really understood who he was necessarily, if that makes sense.
Sure.
One
Kevin.
thing I'll go ahead. Kevin.
No, please, Imran, go.
So one thing I'll note, and this is something that people are gonna probably roll their eyes at a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of very good Asian writers who are better than me are going to talk about like this upcoming week. But the game is very nationalistic, like in a way that obviously taking after Japanese cinema, which is in its own way extremely nationalistic, but this is a game about Japanese honorable samurai forcing out foreign invaders who are mostly savages and honestly pure evil in almost every way and barely considered human. And it is a thing that as we got further in the game, I got increasingly uncomfortable with. And like you can kind of lose yourself in it, like even with like say Uncharted or whatever, they all treat the enemy force as like monolithic entities that are just bad, and that's it. It just was weird this time because it's an actual historical event of a thing that happened, and the Mongols are just sort of obviously history has never been like they've not been a renaissance of intelligent thinkers necessarily, but history was written by the winners. And in this case, this game kind of reinforced that idea of this is how a Japanese cinema take on the Mongol invasion would be, and that's not always true in terms of what Japanese war has been like.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I had it. You're right. You totally lay out a case that I hadn't even thought about playing it, right? But like, yeah, there is no redeeming factor. There is no. Well, no, they were just doing it, or here's some people that weren't complete fucking monsters. Like, no,
they were really smart.
That is
about
something
the
that
way
I kind
they
of
did
caught
it,
on
though.
to.
Right?
Yeah, like the Khan is shown as a strategist, but the rest of them are all like just kind of
like evil, like
Yeah.
kill machines
but
essentially.
some
Like
of-
they're out
some
here
of
to
his-
drink and kill.
Some of his generals are like, "Hey, man, we learned the language. We want to help you guys. We want to get rid of this shogun, and we want to bring you into our society." Right?
right.
And
But then
it's-
like
yeah.
you're kind of as Jin, you're like, no, I just want to fucking kill them all.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think in defense of the game does seem to be coming from the perspective of Japanese cinema and wanting to really emulate that to the fullest. And so I think with that, you also bring in that factor, because that was something I noticed too, where I was kind of waiting to meet the good Mongol, and you kind of never do. And like, I get they're the villains, and so sure, like I understood it from that aspect, but that was something that did like kind of come out to me, or something that brought that I kind of thought of as I was playing.
I mean, I like an analogy would be if a Japanese developer made a game about America fighting terrorists and you were just mowing them all down, like that would feel very weird to all of us here. But this one, just because it's like a little bit foreign, we kind of accept it.
I mean, don't Call of Duty games do that? Don't like what's the
Yeah,
They
but
try to have it both ways on Call of Duty games, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Sure.
Kevin, story-wise, you were in. Did you believe in Jin?
Yeah, no, I really like the story. I mean, all right, well, I guess that's being a little generous. I thought the story it was whatever. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, we need to get from point A to point B, and they got to get us there somehow. For me, it's like the mechanics of the gameplay that means so much. But that being said, I just had a story moment happen. Like, I did not expect to totally destroy me the way it did.
I fucking tear up.
I know exactly what
I
you're
know
talking
exactly what you're talking about.
Everyone
I know
knows exactly what we're
you're
talking. I mean, do you want to talk about it?
No.
we
Okay,
No.
right.
But Jen came out and started talking to me about like just normal life stuff, and I had to stop her and be like, "This just happened." She's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?"
I was more broken up about it than I thought I'd be. I was like, okay,
Oh.
that happened. And then I was like continuing on in the game, like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And they do such a great job of playing with that and like
I-
not just having that be something that happened and then you move on. Like,
I don't know how many
great.
hours I put into the game, but like 30 minutes ago, if you're like, "Hey, could something happen that would really like emotionally affect you?" I'd be like, "No way, no way, not possible." Well, I was wrong. But so yeah, I mean, but I still like going forward. Like, I don't really care what the ending is. I don't like, it's. I still feel like the story is a smaller element, and it's very much like a cookie cutter. Like, there's the bad guy. He's real bad. Go kill him.
yeah, for sure on that
Yeah.
front. I think it's more the con is, yeah, you're just stereotypical. I'm the bad guy. Come after me. I'm the giant boss, right? Obviously, and he's always like one step ahead of you kind of thing.
Right.
But for me, it was the ripples that happen around him that shake the relationships you're establishing and building, or maybe that already existed, that I thought were like, oh, fuck, this is an interesting dilemma. And where will this go? And like, I think for me, as somebody who I always say, like, I'm a story whore, right? That's what attracts me to video games. I love being invested in those kind of worlds, right? it was, I don't even know, midway through the review or whatever, where Jen and I were on the beach and we were walking and talking, and she was like literally talking about her entire day, and she was just like, so anyways, what's up with you? And I'm like, oh, well, I've been playing the game, what's happening? And I just like went off on where we were in the thing and what it meant, and I was talking the way I would talk about a TV show or movie or whatever that I just watched, of like, no, this crazy thing just happened, and it's actually raising interesting dilemmas in the relationship, and where would you go and what would you do? And I was like, that's fucking really cool. And I think getting lost in those moments, and to Imran's point earlier of having these things feel episodic helps out so much, of going in and doing it and busting it out and be done. In the same way Blessing's talking about here at the end, where I'm now down to my final 5 missions I need to do, period. Last night, just running them over and over and over and over, it did become on some of these side quests. I'm like looking at my phone, like, why are we met? All right, cool. Back at my phone. You know what I mean? Like, I got what was happening. I think I'm doing myself a detriment there, but I did want to make sure I'd beaten it, so I'd prioritized finishing the story, and then it was just cleanup and stuff like that.
I messed up a lot of haikus because, so one of these things this game has is nothing is skippable, like no dialogue, no scenes, whatever. So after you've seen like the 15th dual opening, like Kevin mentioned earlier, you're like, okay, yeah, this is cool, but I get it. So with haikus, you always sit down and it starts a thing and it very slowly rolls out. It's just like reflect on blank, reflect on tragedy, reflect on nature, whatever. I always messed up so many fucking haikus because I didn't see what the reflect on was. So I was like, because I was looking at Twitter by that point because I was waiting for the scene start to end, and yeah, that was.
But wait, is there a right way to do the haikus? Because
there's no right way. I just kind of did whatever. And I clicked.
I always felt like I was being super creative with mine, because you basically the way it goes is you create 3 different lines. And I guess that is how you do haikus in general. But I think
there's 7 syllables in the middle. You need 5 for the first and last line.
There's 3 intentional ones, the 3 intentional haiku they want you to do, I think. And you want to try and match. Personally, in my mind, you wanted to try and match those up. It didn't make a difference gameplay wise, but it was always okay, I want to know what I'm reflecting on. Am I reflecting on weather? Am I reflecting on peace? And I wish there was a way to say that.
With the haikus, I would just be like, click, click, click. As quick as possible. I was
being the most creative. I was putting together some real poetry.
I was really expressing myself. I'm never gonna wear a headband. Maybe the death headband, because that.
You didn't wear the headband?
I love the headbands.
No, man, I've got the big old headpiece.
Oh, I never wear the headpiece. Of course, we're talking about gear. In Ghost of Tsushima, you have gear slots. So you have the headband, you have a face mask or whatever, and then you have I guess there's more than that even. But you have your body armor, or whatever outfit you want to wear. Then there's color combinations for the body armor. Then on top of that, you have your sword kits that have a whole bunch of flair to them too.
Your swords too.
God.
Oh God, yeah.
They did such a good job with the customization, the actual physical appearance, cosmetic customization in this game. I absolutely love the different options available.
So I wish they had loadouts, because
yes, thank you, Imran.
Oh my God, that would make the game.
Things, they have gameplay changes. And I wanted to be okay, I'm going to be stealth, so I want to put on the Ronin outfit.
I want to be a sniper right now.
Yeah, you have to go through and change all those things individually. It's this is just kind of a pain. I don't want to look dumb, so I don't want to have a samurai helmet on and a Ronin outfit.
I know it sounds crazy, but I don't know what kind of post-release quality of life patch stuff they have planned, but that would be at the top of my list that I would want for people to have going forward. Is that I think since you can change your stance so easily on how you're going to fight, just the same thing of hold a button to bring up a quad wheel that I can pick what it is. Because I'm the same way once I got the Traveler's outfit that helped clear fog of war faster. By the way, too, the resources you're collecting in the world, you are then using to upgrade these things to make their effects better. When I got that, I was like, oh, well, fuck yeah. So every time I finished, every time I was on the horse, I'm in that. Then eventually you get an armor that, helps you with the standoff. You can go further and kill more people in standoff. So then it'd be like, oh, I'm going to challenge your standoff. Pause, switch to that. All right, out of that. Then I kept going this way. Oh, now they've seen me. Now I'm in a thing. I want the samurai armor that gives me more health and whatever. And so, yeah, the fact that you couldn't just quick assign those was annoying until when eventually I knew it would happen eventually, but I was like, all right, fine. Now I'm just wearing this armor the rest of the way.
Yeah. There's so many cool armors that I never really used because it was such a pain to just go and change that. There's an armor just for an arrow build, and I would love to use that. I would have to know ahead of time I'm going to be in an arrow fight.
But it would be so cool to be able to I wouldn't go as far as needing to do it on my screen on the fly. I'm fine with pausing, but then having the ability to, with one click of a button, or clicking one loadout that has your weapon, your charms changed, And
yeah.
everything tied together where it's like I want it to be exactly this, where it's like, I want it to be an arrow guy, right?
Build, yeah.
So it'll have the arrow close and charms that'll increase by X amount, whatever.
So if I can time out right here, so charms are things you're unlocking through missions and just story stuff that you then can equip that give you, your arrows are doing more damage. When you do take damage, you get you get more resolve, which are those yellow orbs that give you the special abilities that you are allowed to use the special abilities you've already done.
They're like runes in like God of War.
Exactly.
Like
and so like I built that out super early. I was doing everything. So I got it to where I had leveled it all the way up. And so, it was pretty much locked until, for me, the final fight where it was like, things are different here and I need to have a different build to get through this because the way I built this isn't even for how I'm playing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that would have been huge.
So much of this is why I said that this game is such a good first installment to a series, because there are so many little things that I can pick apart about this game, but overall, I think what they have here is so special and so good. I overall really enjoyed my experience, but things like the switching the armor on the fly would have helped so much, or things like little tweaks that they could have added to combat, specifically lock on, which I would absolutely I legit that brought down the combat from being absolutely excellent to just good for me. Was
I didn't miss the auto lock. I didn't miss lock on, I would say, for 99% of the time. The only time I would is when you go you go into your ghost weapons, some of them are throwable, and I would throw the sticky bomb, and I'm like, clearly I want that guy, and Jin would throw it across the field. I'm like, motherfucker, all right, well, this is now a new way to do it.
It bothered me when rescuing hostages because it says which enemy is going after the hostage, and I would rush up to them and he would attack a guy to the side. It's like, well, guess that hostage died because Jin's a fucking idiot.
Redo the whole goddamn mission now because of that. I hear you. And
I will say the game's controls are a little wacky, especially at first, because they use every damn button on that controller, and to the point where they're even at the end of the game, at the end of that 50 hours, I was still hitting the touchpad to open the map, even though it's pause, even though it's options, because I would still be all right, I'm gonna check where I need to go, and it's crouch. It's wait, no, not what I meant to do.
Oh, see, I feel
you'd bow at nobody.
I've got the muscle memory down where I switching through stuff. The problem I'm having is that I keep when you have the standoffs, when I go to press up, it always, I think it might be my controller, presses right too, so it'll start the standoff and then go into photo mode. And it's all right, I didn't need to do that.
It's weird too, because I don't know what the criteria is to make that show up.
Yep. How many times did I ride into battle and I'm like, fucking standoff, and then they start filling in their meters that they see me, I'm like, no, I don't like you.
Stuff like that. So as far as the controls go, I'm with Imran that I think they use every single button and almost too much, where I'm not sure if I really need a bow button and a button to play my flute when when I press R2 and L2, that brings up two different wheels for things I can change on the fly. There's just way too much going on.
One slows down time and the other one doesn't,
and the other one doesn't. Oh, it's so frustrating. And I get where they're going with it, and I think for the most part it works. But even now, where I'm 35 hours into playing or whatever, I'm still all right, I want to change my quickfire weapon. I think that's R2. Okay, yes, that is R2. Now I want to change from my arrow to something else. All right, what button is okay? That's L2 to aim, and then I have to, I guess, use my D-pad or use the button. There's way too much going on.
And then on top of it, you use the square or triangle to switch between the explosive.
Because you can change your bow, and then you can change the type of ammo that goes into your bow, which is the type of depth that I love. But it's so confusing.
It's crazy they were able to get all these. That is so much customization that you're doing on the fly, and I found myself constantly switching what I was shooting, what I was throwing, just constantly being in those menus, moving around, and the fact that I was able to maneuver that made me feel so cool. I was the ghost,
Dude, no, that's the thing of again, to this moment, and for me personally, and again, maybe it's story, maybe it's your own theater of the mind kind of thing, but to have gone on this journey with Jin and be where I am now, where literally it's just 7 dudes, and I'm I'm not going to hit any of you with normal things. You know what I mean? I'm going to go through and just take you all out before any. And some people they get terrified by what you do, so they run away, they fall down. You can kill.
Do you
go
chase
in there
those
and just
people?
fucking be the ghost. The way people are talking, that people think of you is so great.
Do you chase those people down?
Sometimes, it depends what I'm trying to do. But I didn't even realize it was a trophy the first time I got it though, where like you go in, everybody's terrified, one dude runs away, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck you in particular. Shot him back with an arrow, and it's like, ding! I'm like, oh fuck, awesome.
One gripe that I had with the game that I think would be excited. I'm excited to see how they kind of expand on it in the future. Is I think they do such a good job of having that Breath of the Wild feel, where you're into the world. You are like you're using the wind, you're using the fox to like follow all this cool stuff, and it feels very dynamic in terms of how you explore and how you really take in Tsushima.
Yeah.
At a certain point, the game kind of does boil down to icons and boil down to all right. Sure. There's a bunch of stuff on the map, and right now, as I've beaten the game, and now I'm clearing through the different parts of the map, I'm like going from bottom to top, and it really is just like, all right, there's a bunch of question marks, there's a bunch of like settlements that I can free and a bunch of different stuff, and I am just like waypointing them one at a time and just going through them, and I'm going through the motions of the exact same activities over and over again. I think like, and it's a lot of work, and so I understand why most games don't do it this way, but I would have liked that Breath of the Wild feel of not knowing what's around the corner, or like not knowing like seeing that there's a thing going on here, but going to it and it not just being another fox den, or it not just being another settlement, or it not just being another thing like another haiku. Like I would have liked more variance in terms of like the cool things you can discover, or like things that are just like things that are one-time unique discoverable things.
You nailed it, right? Like, like the amount, there's like 40 some fox dens.
Yes.
And it's
there's
like,
so many.
All right, I feel like we gotta cut this. You know what I mean? Even if we didn't add another category, I was like so fed up of following the fucking foxes by the time I finished that part of it off.
Yeah, at one point, does it change what like they give you?
Yeah.
No. Oh, so it powers them up. It doesn't like it still charms, but it will power up your existing charms instead of like giving you new slots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which sucked.
But
like,
like,
I was so happy to have more
slots are
slots.
great.
I wanted
Yeah.
to keep adding other stuff, and I was like, no, it's just making it more powerful. I was like, all right, whatever.
So like speaking of Breath of the Wild, I think like one of the things they tried to do with this game was they tried to open the structure up so you can do like, let's say, character quests. Like they will pop up like 3 from the same person occasionally, but why would you ever do them out of order? And that was one of the things that confused me. Is like, okay, I'm not going to skip this one because obviously there's a linear story here. And I ended up with this weird thing where I was not doing one character's quest, and I ended up like being near his like I didn't do 6, but there were 7 and 8 somewhere else. So I ended up being near 7 and 8 without realizing it. And I like when I was there, he was being attacked by Mongols, and I saved him. And we start talking in a cutscene after I saved him, and he starts referring to a character that I was supposed to find in 6 as dead. And I'm like, wait, what? Why did you allow this? At some point, somebody should have been like, no, we can't have these missions pop until this one is done.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a little that they allowed too much freedom there at the expense of the linear story they're trying to create, which makes me feel those weren't made in concert together.
Well, like there's a big story moment, or not even a big story moment, but there's like a point in the main story where I encountered Kenji, and I didn't remember meeting Kenji before that. And like I know he like had like one of the social link quests that like we're talking about, and it was one of those things where I was like, all right, is this a continuity error? Like, am I supposed to know Kenji on this deep of a level yet? So I found that stuff to be interesting and kind of weird, and how that stuff kind of manifested.
Well, you know what's not weird, ladies and gentlemen? Our sponsor. Let's hear from him. This episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Honey. We all shop online a lot, but did you know you can make online shopping even better with Honey? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard me talk about Honey before, because a long time ago, Honey sponsored us. And Tim said, Greg, you have to install Honey. And I was like, what's Honey? And he said, basically, you go on your Google Chrome store, you say you download Honey. It's a little plugin you attach. And then right here, you're the camera there, but right here underneath in my browser, I see the little Honey H. And what that is doing is that every time I check out online, it scans the internet for the best promo codes to put in there. So I can get, free shipping. I can get 25% off. I can do all stuff. I bought a shirt from TeePublic the other day. A Kind of Funny best friend sent me on Twitter. Guess what? I don't even think about it, of course. As soon as I'm ready to check out, Honey just pops down. It's this little dancing coin, and it says, I'm looking for things. And I'm like, thanks, little dancing coin. It says, no problem, Greg. It doesn't actually say that. But then it gives me a code. I use it. And also Honey accrues these Honey coins that I can then cash in for Amazon gift cards and a bunch of other stuff. All of this is completely and absolutely free. I am not lying. I am not dying. This is a pretty awesome thing. You go in there, you apply the coupons, you save money, and that's all you have to do. And then if you're signed in, like I said, it just keeps accruing coins you get to spend on other stuff. It's great. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. It's free to use and installs in just a few seconds. Plus, it's now part of the PayPal family. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kinda. That's joinhoney.com/kinda. Our next sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, why, it's Quip. Let's talk about it, everybody. We all use Quip. Kind of funny. You know this. I was just tweeting and texting to Joey about it today because I was making some jokes about our Quip toothbrush. I was going to steal her brush heads that are at the office. I'm not really going to do whatever would be cool. What Quip is, of course, is an electric toothbrush that is sent to you. You then get on a dentist recommended schedule every 3 months. New brush heads, a new battery, and if you're signed up for it, floss and toothpaste and all this stuff. But mainly, you get peace of mind and know, number one, you're always going to be reminded to switch out your brush heads, which is very important because a lot of us use bad brush heads, and that's not good for brushing. But number two, the Quip itself buzzes there for 2 minutes. And what it does is you do 30 seconds in each quadrant of your mouth. And guess what? You get an even clean. And also, guess what? 2 minutes is a lot longer than you think it is. How do I know? Because I wasn't brushing my teeth for 2 minutes, but I would have told you I was. But then I started using Quip. And it turns out, no, brother, I was not. Like I said, Quip is awesome. And you can join more than 3 million happy customers and practice good oral care easily and affordably with Quip, starting at just $25. And if you go to getquip.com/KF right now, you'll get your first refill for free. That's your first refill free at getquip.com/KF. That is getquip.com/KF. Quip, the good habits company. And our final sponsor of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it's Sunsoil. These days, it seems like companies are putting CBD in everything. If you don't know where to start, there's a company in Vermont that's down to earth and doing things differently. Sunsoil. One, Gia Tap Harris, that's right, Tim's fiance, has been using Sunsoil, and she digs it because it's easy to use. It's very easy to understand. You just go there, and it's simple. Sunsoil makes CBD oil that is USDA certified organic. They grow hemp on their farms in Vermont, and they never use pesticides, herbicides, or GMOs. Sunsoil keeps it simple. In fact, most of their CBD products have just 2 simple ingredients: coconut oil and hemp. Sunsoil is surprisingly affordable because they farm their own hemp and stick to the simple ingredients. They offer higher quality CBD at half the price of the other brands. Like I said, Gia's using it. Gia's loving it. Why won't you be like Gia? Sunsoil makes pure and simple CBD products at an unbeatable price. Get 30% off your first order by going to sunsoil.com/kindafunny. That's sunsoil.com/kindafunny for 30% off your first order. So yeah, I think, what's an interesting point you brought up, Wes, at the very top of it, right, is that you think it's better than Infamous, right? You liked it more than Infamous. Yeah, yes. I agree with you 100%. And I think that, I'm a huge Infamous fan, obviously. I'm a huge superhero fan, obviously. And I really do feel that, like, as somebody who's never really given samurai stuff a try, like, this felt like that to me, where it felt like a hero's origin story. Obviously, it's not super powered, but super powered, video game stuff, slowing down time, shooting bows and arrows. You know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Like, it resonated so much with me. I think it's what I wanted to see out of Infamous Second Son and didn't, where I thought Infamous Second Son obviously looked gorgeous and, looked like a current gen game. It looked like a PlayStation 4 game, but the way they intermixed, it's a similar thing that Sucker Punch is making video games, like, come here for photo mode, go here for this thing. Like, I thought that broke the world they made there, where it felt like, rather than stepping into the next generation, they were still making a game that was more inclined for a PS3, PS2 era in terms of HUD, in terms of gameplay loop. Whereas this one, I do feel is Sucker Punch really graduating to that. No, we're here and we're making this fucking epic sweeping game that we're committed to on every level, right? Imran talked about cinematography. We've been talking about gameplay. I'm talking about story, voice acting, all the different things they have in their music, the layers and layers and layers they add to this game to truly make it feel unique and something special.
Yeah, like Second Son, I really loved Infamous 1 and 2, and Second Son, like you said, graphically quite amazing, but lots of that game felt incomplete, and I don't think that main campaign was actually I don't think it was the game they wanted to make in their hearts of hearts. But this Ghost of Tsushima does feel like that. It feels like they went to 11 on every one of their talents. I think it, as different as it is from Sly Cooper and Infamous, like, it doesn't have the sticky platforming, still has the same rope walking animation as Infamous and Sly Cooper, which I think is intentional. But
totally.
It does feel like the full ass game that they wanted to make with this license, or not license, but like this world.
Sure.
Yeah, I think this might end up as a hot take for me, because I don't think most people are going to feel this way, but I actually like this game more than Horizon even. Like, I think
agree.
I
think
100% agree. And when I had that realization playing, I was like, holy fuck, that's saying something.
Okay.
I love
Yeah,
Horizon.
that's actually shocking to me because I know how much people love Horizon and people like put it up there as one of the best PlayStation PS4 exclusives. You know, I think this game as an open world game, the ways in which it makes navigating the open world easier, I think it should be commended. Like the fact that you can fast travel to pretty much anything on the map that you've already discovered. Like you can
Also,
fast travel to any point. Really, is
No
really
load
good.
times when you
Load
fast travel.
times
Like,
are so fast.
It's fast.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't say
It's
no,
incredible.
but there's like compared to Horizon, which could be like 45 seconds plus when you fast travel. This is like not even enough time for me to take over my phone and like look at Twitter because it'll just be like done right there.
Yep.
And like no load times at death, which they actually mask in a really clever ways. I want to point out is that when you die, enemies kick you around for a bit and then stab you. It's them reloading the area
Oh,
while
whoa.
you're being kicked around. It's like, oh, that's really smart.
That's
That's
so
how they're
smart.
super
masking it.
smart.
Wow.
I didn't realize that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
I hate when
I
that
didn't-
happens. It always hurts my feelings.
Totally right. And it was that thing of like for the longest time in the skill tree, I had passed upgrading the thing where if you have 2 pieces of resolve, you can get yourself back up.
Oh.
I was like, oh, I didn't even need it. I think I was saying that a lot in Act 1, and then when Act 2 came around, I was just dying. I was like, motherfucker, why didn't I spend the goddamn points?
But the other day I was talking to Blessing and he was like, "Oh, yeah, it just sucks that when you're in the super hearing mode,
When
you can't see that far." I was like, "Just upgrade it." And he's like, "Oh, I have 7 upgrades that I could use." And he upgraded it, and yeah, sure enough, you could see like everything in that camp.
It's legit one of those things where you look at your upgrade tree and you're like, certainly I'm not going to need this thing over here. Like this sounds like I'm wasting a point, so I'm just going to keep these points. And yeah, once I upgraded my hearing to be all the way up, that changed the game for me. Where one of my big complaints when I was going through settlements was like I cannot find where the other enemies are because like there'll be different camps of enemies within a big settlement because like the settlements are so big.
Yeah.
And so legit I'd get lost and be looking around for forever and ever. And then I upgraded the thing and it's like, oh, I can see them now, which totally changed how I experienced it.
Those
Back
settlements
to-
do get a little too big at some point. Like
They do.
some of those those Act 3 camps are just like they're fucking huge and it takes forever to go like
They have 4
find the
hostages,
places.
and they're like, yeah, totally way far apart from each other. Yeah.
When did you guys add like assassination? Was that early for you guys?
Add it or level it up.
Or no, like turn on or do the mission that unlocked that ability?
I feel like it was early. I feel
Okay.
like
Yeah,
I
it was
Was
like
that not like the main story?
Yeah, it
it's when he
was,
tried to
but
save Taka.
I didn't do it until I finished the like all the like
Oh,
basically
shit.
cleared out the first map. So like when you were asking earlier, like did you choose to play like a samurai or like the ghost? It's like for the first area, I only did samurai stuff. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, and it's funny how many things like that changed the game for me. I think you guys probably had a pretty different experience where like I did zero sneaking around in the beginning.
Well, one of the things I found interesting about to your point earlier, Blessing, right? Of like, well, surely I don't need this. I'm not going to upgrade that part of the skill tree, right? I always think to Odyssey, where I'd gone through, by the end and obviously invested points in everything and had it all unlocked because what else am I going to do with these points? But so much of it I never used. Whereas I thought in this game, it seems like there's a lot, and I think there is a fair share of stuff, but you go through and as you invest in it, I actually started using it all. Where I can't think of an item on my repertoire that I didn't use, and maybe part of that's because later on when you start going into takedown encampments, it will be like optional bonus objective, like use the firecracker and kill somebody while they're looking at it or whatever. Like maybe I wasn't using firecracker before then, but I started then and I did start using it.
I use the
Do you
bell
use
so much.
the wind chime? Oh, you did.
Yeah,
the wind chime.
all the time. I'm chiming it up over here.
I need to use it more. I use it like maybe once.
Well, that was the
And
thing.
then I
About,
saw there's upgrades for it.
once I was all in, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm the assassin. I'm the ghost. Like that was like, all right, cool. Get them all.
Yeah. It is weird how much it oscillated for me during the game of like, oh, just being a samurai is faster and it's easier, I'll just do that, to, oh, I'm going to kill a couple people as ghost, to, I'm just going to take out this entire camp stealthily because that's faster.
Yeah.
I had the same thing.
But I
The game's
love
so
going in
special.
there as a samurai still.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, let's start a fight.
Teach me. Yeah. Anything I didn't say? Closing thoughts? What do you guys got for me?
This game's amazing. It's so like the mechanics on it are so good. I can't stop playing it. I'm not promising anything, but like if I get a first platinum, This would have to be it. Like it's that
You,
good.
I wouldn't be shocked like when you finish the game if you've had most of the platinum stuff done.
Yeah, you'll be so close to it if the way you're playing it. Blessing.
But
Yeah. I mean, I think I meant to say toward the beginning of this too that I forgot. I feel like this game for me has been such a meditative game where like leading up to this game in Last of Us Part 2, I think I was vocalizing a lot that I wish this game would have came out before Last of Us Part 2 because I needed this type of game. This type of game that is it's open, you play your own pace, and everything in it is just so chill. I think that's a big thing for me in terms of how much I enjoyed this game. Like it is such a laid back, like, hey, just ride your horse and let the wind blow and let the soundtrack play and like hang out and like see the beautiful colors of the leaves, see all the particles that are flowing by, the fireflies, the like all the basically the whole game feels like such a meditative let's chill and hang out. And I really appreciate about that about this game.
It's funny.
I think
I was gonna say yesterday there was a point where I was clearing out the second area and I had my iPad out and I was gonna watch some random video on YouTube or something, and then something happened where there was a cutscene and I paused it, and then I realized 3 hours later that I was like, oh, I never went back to the video.
That's all.
Yeah.
like to the Last of Us 2 thing, I kind of feel like this game is going to be this year's Spider-Man in a way. Like it's a different thing because obviously Spider-Man was a known IP and sold a lot better. But like in Game of the Year discussions, it was ignored because God of War was the big PS4 game that year. So I feel like don't skip out just because you like Last of Us 2. This is a very good game. I just, like I said, it's a combination of like Witcher and Assassin's Creed 2 and Breath of the Wild and Horizon. Well, not Horizon, because the larger point is I don't like this game as much as I like those because I think those are some of the best games I've ever played. But I think this game is still really a very good combination of those things. I definitely think if you're looking for just a AAA podcast game, this is absolutely that. And if you like that aesthetic, it takes us up another couple of points.
Yeah. I love this game. I think it's something really, really special. As somebody who's played Sucker Punch and covered Sucker Punch for so long, like I think it's really next level for them. I'm glad they were able to, like we were saying, have a vision for it and execute on every front. Where I think this is something special, and I do wonder what that is going to shape up, like what we're talking about here in terms of like Last of Us cast such a shadow in terms of PlayStation 4 and exclusives and all this stuff, but it'll be interesting to see where it falls in that Spider-Man God of War argument in terms of, this is a video game in so many ways, and it nails that. It nails what it's trying to achieve. What it sets out to do, it does. And I think it's truly, truly special. I'm excited for everybody to play it.
I did talk to someone earlier who doesn't play the games that often, but they were like, I told them that I was liking Ghost of Tsushima, and they told me, oh, they already announced a sequel to that, right? And I was very confused until I figured out they thought Ghostwire Tokyo was a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima.
Sure.
So whatever they go next, they need to really be like, is it still on Tsushima? Is it still about the ghosts? What is the branding of a sequel for this game?
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, part of me wishes that to the Game of the Year discussion thing, like I kind of wish this game would have came out last year because I think this game would have had a shot last year in terms of the Game of the Year discussion. Like I mean, one of my games of the year or one of my top games of the year last year would have been Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I like this game more than Jedi Fallen Order. And so like, in terms of where that would have netted out, I think this game would have had a big shot last year. But this year is like so competitive that I don't.
There's so many things.
I don't
know where it's gonna
land
up.
Best game that's come out so far. That's a fact. Come on. Guys, everyone's silent.
I mean,
remember, ladies and gentlemen, game provided by PlayStation. FTC don't come at us. They sent it to us for review. So we did that. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this is just the start of your Ghost of Tsushima coverage here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Remember, right now, you should be writing your spoiler-free questions for Ghost of Tsushima, things we didn't cover in this review, things you'd like to be more in-depth answers on. Send them, of course, over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames to PS I Love You XOXO. Blessing and I are recording that this afternoon. That's right, Tuesday afternoon. You don't have a huge window, so you get those in. We can get them answered. We can put that up on Wednesday, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, podcast services around the globe. And remember, a spoiler cast is incoming, so get your spoiler questions ready, thoughts and opinions. I wouldn't be surprised if we do something similar where you put in your questions and spoilery stuff for the devs about making the game and all that jazz. We'll do that as a Gamescast, and then something like we did with Last of Us, where we do your reviews and like that spoiler cast with you kind of conversation on PS I Love You. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll figure it all out as we go. Remember, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. You can get it early, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can get it ad free. You can get it with the post show we're about to do. Alex wrote in for the post show asking some questions about comparing this to Assassin's Creed. So we're going to tackle that over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. If you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. roosterteeth.com podcast services around the globe each and every week for a brand new episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. For now, I think we all say you should play Ghost of Tsushima, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, good. Until next time, no. It's been our pleasure to serve you.